Let me share my story of how my entire life came crashing down, unraveling the web of lies I was unknowingly living in. Just 3 months ago, I considered myself the happiest person on earth. I was satisfied with my life. I thought I had a wonderful family, a faithful and loving wife, and a beautiful daughter. However, it is my daughter who is now preventing me from finally breaking down. Angelina and I were married at an early age. She had just turned 18 and I was 22. Our daughter Angelica was born a year later, and even their names were strikingly similar. To be precise, from our wedding day to that fateful moment was 6 years. We lived a happy life, rarely quarreled. I had a successful career, rising to the position of head of the commercial department, but never neglected my role as a family man. I devoted every penny I earned to my wife and daughter and treasured every spare minute I had with them. I showered them with flowers and gifts for every occasion, no matter how insignificant. Our intimate life was also fulfilling. Despite all this, I still couldn't understand why I was treated the way I was, and at first I placed the blame on myself, picking out faults that didn't seem to exist. That particular day, 3 months ago, sticks in my mind as vividly as if it were today. I woke up, had breakfast, and my wife left for work a little later than usual. I took our daughter to kindergarten and went to work in a cheerful mood. 2 hours later, Angelina called me to let me know that she had taken a pregnancy test this morning on an empty stomach to be sure. She was happy to report that the test was positive and even sent me a picture of the 2 stripes indicating a positive result. She reported it to work and took the day off to visit the women's health clinic to confirm the test. She promised to find out the exact gestational age of the pregnancy, register, and try to get it done by lunchtime. And in the evening, when I got home from work, she would cook something delicious for us and celebrate. When I received the news, I was overjoyed. Eager to share my excitement, I informed my boss at work, who congratulated me and even allowed me to leave early. Instead of calling my wife, I decided to surprise her. Little did I realize that I was in for a surprise as well. After picking up our daughter from daycare, I took her to my parents and shared the news with them. They understood that my wife and I needed some time alone. In the morning, my father graciously offered to take our daughter to daycare, expressing his joy for us. Wanting to make the surprise even more special, I bought a cake, a beautiful bouquet, champagne, and a gold pendant as a gift, then hurried home. With the utmost care, I opened the door silently and tiptoed into the room, where I found my wife engaged in a lively Skype conversation with a friend. Unaware of my presence, I overheard the shocking conversation. "Wife, so what stage are you at?" "I'm already on week 4. "Does Randy know?" "Randy is me." "Yes, he was the first person I called." "Just him? What are you implying?" "Are you absolutely sure it's Randy's baby?" "Of course it is. Who else could it be?" "Louis and I haven't been intimate in 2 months, and Russell, and I always use protection. Still a year and a half ago, when we were on the shore, I made him realize that I do not intend to destroy the family, and he should not expect anything serious." "What about that handsome guy at the fair?" "I almost lost my senses when you flirted with him in front of your husband. You're playing with fire. You have such a wonderful husband. What more could you want? If you don't love him, please, Caroline, spare me the moralizing. You're practically a saint. But let's face it, we live in the 21st century. It's time to embrace modern attitudes, my friend. Love and sex are separate concepts. Not everything revolves around money and physical pleasure. If material gain was my only motivation, I would have left my family and married Louis a long time ago. He's reckless with money and not particularly pleasant in bed." "What about Randy?" "What about him?" "Randy is my husband, the father of my daughter and our future second child. We have a deep spiritual connection, and he means the world to me. We are compatible mentally and emotionally. He is easy to love. But don't confuse love with mere physical desire. Sometimes extramarital adventures spice up a relationship. They add a certain spark, you know." That was the gist of their conversation. When I heard it, I felt a sharp pain and disgust. It was like a red-hot bayonet stabbed into my shoulder blade. At that moment, I wanted only one thing: to disappear. It felt like an invisible vice was gripping my temples and throat. Sweat dripped down my face, my ears were ringing, and everything around me turned a bleak shade of black and gray. I don't even remember how I entered the room, but when she saw the fear in my eyes, she realized I had overheard everything. Her reaction was reminiscent of those cheap TV shows. She tried to brush it all off as a joke. Eventually, she realized that ridicule would only make things worse, so she fell to her knees and began to beg, "Forgive me, please forgive me. Think of our daughter, our future child." She pushed herself to my feet, kissing my knees. It was disgusting. Some part of me wanted to grab her by the hair and slam her head to the floor, but my fatherly instinct held me back, and instead I slapped her across the face with the bouquet. I quickly took the wedding ring off her finger and threw it in her direction. Then, without thinking, I jumped out of there and drove home to my parents' house, nearly causing 2 accidents on the way. I stopped at the nearest supermarket and bought 3 bottles of whiskey and some juice. When I arrived at my parents' house, I went up to the 2nd floor and treated my father rudely in anger. However, I later realized my mistake and made amends. Feeling depressed, I locked myself in my room and started drinking. I drank whiskey like water and was not even intoxicated after I finished the first bottle. In frustrated feelings, I contacted my supervisor and asked for a few days of vacation without giving any reason. He granted me the extra days, which, along with the days off, amounted to a 4-day break that I hoped would help me recover. As I continued to drown my sorrows, I opened a 3rd bottle and eventually passed out. For the next 2 days, I secluded myself, shedding tears and staring blankly into space. During this time, my mom visited me a couple times, offering tea and asking questions. But I wasn't ready to confide in my parents just yet. It was then that my mom informed me that Jelia had come to pick me and Leica up, since it was already Sunday. Not wanting to let Leica go, I asked my wife to get her off balance. However, my mother reminded me that it was up to us to resolve the situation since we had quarreled, emphasizing that conflicts run in the family. But she didn't know. Soon Galia entered the room and found me sitting on the floor with a pathetic look. A dialogue between me and my wife ensued. "Hello, dear. How are you feeling? Are you feeling better now? Can we talk? How dare you still have the nerve to show up here? Do you despise me? I understand the pain you're going through right now, and I know you're hurting, but please try to at least listen to me. Before you answer, ask yourself, have I been a terrible wife, mother, or hostess? Have you been neglected and left hungry? Or have I failed to satisfy you in bed? Here's the thing. I'm filing for divorce and Lika is staying with me. I'll pick up our stuff tomorrow after work." Well, that's not surprising. It's a classic husband reaction. We'll discuss it later. But right now, you're not even trying to listen to me or understand where I'm going with this. What are you trying to make me understand? If you tell me you met someone else and fell in love with them, even if it's a strong love, I can understand. If you made a mistake under the influence and regret it a lot, I can understand. Even if you were jealous and wanted to hurt me after I cheated on you, I could understand your point. But what I can't understand is how you could cheat on me without any reason or remorse, just for your own pleasure. And what's worse, you don't even realize the consequences of your actions. And as for hearing, I heard you loud and clear last night. I don't think I want to talk, see, hear, or be around you anymore. Let's divorce without further scandal. About our child, Leaky, the court will decide, and I'll stand up for my interests. That's where you're wrong. I will not give you a divorce. It's out of the question. And in the next 2 years and 2 months, we will not divorce. And just to remind you, Randy, I'm pregnant with your baby. Now I highly doubt that. Oh, that's great. Go ahead and tell everyone. I can only imagine the position you'll be in when we do a DNA test after the baby is born. I will personally insist on it. It won't change anything. Even if we don't get divorced right now, I won't be living under the same roof with you. Yes, you are, and you're gonna act like a sweetheart. Besides, you better pack right now because the 3 of us, you, me, and Leica, are going home. Can you handle it for an hour? What makes you so sure? What if I say no? Then tomorrow everyone at your job will know you left your pregnant wife. Everyone will look down on you, and you know how your boss reacts to such situations. You will be out of a job, and your entire career will plummet. Not to mention, my powerful connections will cut off all your options, and you'll be left with nothing, even as a security guard. Oh, is this the man you were talking about, Louis? You heard that too? Yes, that's him. He's a serious man. By the way, we saw him yesterday and agreed to remain just good friends. He understood everything perfectly, and I can rely on him in case of need. What about that other man, Russell? He was more difficult, but I tried to make it clear. I hope he won't bother us anymore. Just realize that I'm the only one who needs you. Let's get ready. If I go home without you, you'll be alone tomorrow, and I'll turn everyone against you. And if everyone finds out why, I don't think you'll tell anyone. You'll only embarrass yourself. Besides, I don't know what ideas you've come up with. You're so difficult, but you shouldn't insult your pregnant wife, even though I deserve harsh words. Okay, I understand. But you have to realize that our relationship and our old life will never be the same after all this. I will never be able to forgive you. Do you even care about forgiving me? You don't think your actions are wrong, and you don't even regret them. It's your mentality, your view of family relationships. People like you don't change. You see the world in a completely different way. You and I have 2 years and 2 months to either change or make a decision. If you want a divorce after that, I won't stop you. But for now, let's not make any hasty decisions. Pack your things, I'm waiting. We can talk at home. Remember, there is no us anymore. I have nothing to discuss with you. I'm only interested in you because you're carrying my baby. After this, all my attention will be focused only on the baby and Lika. Now go downstairs and wait for me to freshen up and get dressed. Reluctantly, I walked her home, feeling like an obedient and passive follower. The unfamiliar surroundings of the house made my discomfort even worse. The food tasted bitter, and the water had lost its freshness. I found solace in staying in the living room, avoiding conversations with my wife. Over the past 3 months, I have gradually lost my joy, appetite, sleep, and general interest in life. My actions seem robotic, devoid of genuine emotion. Returning home has become a burden that I carry with great reluctance. While Gila is carrying our baby, I try not to raise my voice or cause her unnecessary stress, although affectionate words seem to have disappeared from my vocabulary. I only talk about things that concern her pregnancy. Despite the fact that I fulfill my responsibilities and provide financially for the family, happiness eludes me.